Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for February 28th, 2022. In my intro for the show today, in the description, I put a lot of lasts. The last day of February, the last regular week, or regular season week in college hoops. The last day of talks between the owners and the players. And a lot of laughs today. And, it's kind of funny when you break a lot of stories down and you get to that part of the story, last. And then I always like to say, then what? We will find out, who's bluffing, who's not bluffing in baseball. I tried to have that awakening moment. Like, okay, tonight the clock strikes midnight, no deal. The players and the owners were so close, so close. Then what? Well, let me see. The owners take their ball and they go off to the sunset for a week, 2 weeks. The players do the same. And let's just say for poops and giggles, we start May 1st. So we lose 22 games, just throwing that number out there. And we have a 140 game season. Will everyone be happy? Yeah, well, it's part of a season. It's most of the season. Then, yeah, I would assume so. But it's not the way it should be. Billionaires versus millionaires. It's hard for the average person to really understand the mentality of actually what's going on here. And I don't claim to be the end all be all. I'm not, in these talks on a daily basis. I just read and hear what I hear. I have a few inside sources, but again, everyone's kind of, it's how you spin it. I really think it is. And me and Scott have talked at length about this. It's truly how you spin this. Is your glass half full or is it half empty? Is it partly cloudy or partly sunny out there? But overall, I do want to get this off my chest also. As everyone knows, we are 100% transparent. We are in the start of our 7th year, 2 months in. I have talked till I'm blue in the face. There's days that I wake up and I see the board and it's that old, it's the awakening moment, and it's just fish in a barrel. There's other days that you see the board real well, but when you release the games, you're releasing the wrong games, and the winners end up on the desk. And there's a spot now where I feel that we're in right now that we're still seeing the board real well. We talk 2-3 times a day here, give out plenty of winners, plenty of leans. But on the ECSI VIP side, we just can't gain any traction. And this weekend was a perfect example. We go 2-1 on Thursday, 1-2 on Friday, 1-3 on Saturday. And yesterday, our action parlay, our dog of the day was the Mavs plus the 145 money line. And they come all the way back. They outscore Golden State by 20 in the fourth to win that game outright. Unfortunately, in college hoops, we had George Mason -9 and then win by 7. We had the Rangers that was the wrong side from start to finish. But we talked about Scotty. Now that's 3-0 here, Scotty. The big games on pregame. Carolina wins 2-1 on the Oilers. So really going to do some drastic changes to try to fine tune this. We got 1 week for the regular season, 1 week for the championship week, and then we're in the big dance. So I got that off my chest. Let me bring in the man who hopefully is bringing some heat, because with the wind chill, we're almost at 0 today. So let's bring him in. The man with the plan from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good morning, Scott.
Morning, Jeff. And I can rub off a little bit of heat. I mean, it's pretty warm down here. Wife's out washing the car and went to go get the oil changed, and I'm like, babe, I can't go. I got a show to do. And then she's like, okay. So she runs off and goes and cleans the windows. She's out there doing all her stuff and whatever. It's pretty nice. It's great to be in Florida right now.
It's funny. I had to replace a windshield wiper yesterday because what happened Saturday after our 6 to 8 inches of slush turned to ice, wanted to take care of my roof before I got onto the highway, and it was like chipping cinder blocks. And by the time it chipped, it went right down the windshield and just blew up one of my windshield wipers. So I go to Advanced Auto Parts and I explain the story. He goes, well, you're one of about 50 people already today that had that same story. So, just another winter back east. How's that sound?
Well, I don't miss them. I've been through them. I mean, when I was younger, I lived up in the Midwest and I lived in Ohio, and I had plenty of snow and blizzards and all that stuff. I've been through it. I've been through minus 30, minus 40 degrees at points and times in my life. And I don't miss any of that stuff. And sit here sometimes and wonder why people still go through all that when they have the option to move down to Florida, for example, or do whatever. But anyway, that's all here, gone tomorrow, whatever that saying is. So one thing I will say, and you're right about the idea that one of the biggest things that I can tell people that I can honestly say is when you're listening to media, you got to be real careful. And I say this just not because I have a hatred to media. It's not that at all. It's because media wants to sell their stories, and they don't report the facts anymore in terms of just facts. They report things to entice a viewer to click a link on Twitter, to click a link in Facebook or wherever they're posting their stuff. And that's how they get viewership these days. They don't sell newspapers anymore, really. So the point being is that writers have to write, and they have to create fancy headlines, and they have to create stories. When you create things, you have the editorial capabilities that weren't there before. And as an editor, to editorial viewpoint on anything, that means you're going to have a spin of what your stance is. And when you're us out here in the world looking for an answer or looking for facts, or we want to make our own decisions, we think a lot of times the stuff that's being presented to us is fact. It's not. Unless you got a guy that went up to bat and he was 1 for 4 today, his batting average is 250. That's a fact. You can editorialize all you want to. He's 1 for 4. He's a 250 hitter for that day. You can't change that. But if you're a guy who's sitting in your house and you're trying to get information on the CBA, and somebody's telling you, oh, it went well today. Oh, it didn't go well today. That's all hearsay bullshit. Here's a perfect example. Mike, that's the guy's name on my head. Jeff, you know who Mike Farron is, right? Okay, Mike Farron is a broadcaster for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but he's also on MLB Radio Network. He's also got a Twitter handle, and he's twittering out that I think that things were so progressive that there's an opportunity to make a deal. Then Zach Britton comes on, and you know who Zach Britton is. Zach Britton's a pitcher now for the New York Yankees. Got an arm problem, and I don't even know if he's going to pitch this year. But anyway, whatever. He's in the room. Zach Britton's in the room, and Zach says, "That's just false narrative. Nothing is what you're saying is even accurate." So then Mike goes on and says, well, Zach is a pretty smart guy, and that's his opinion. But the opinion that was given to me is also from somebody in the room. So there you go. You got two guys that are in the room, that one seems to think that there might be a deal made, and the other one seems to think that this is all full of shit. So there's a lot of various different opinions and a lot of different ideas and a lot of things being shared, and the way it's being reported, and the way it's designed to show an us versus them, where everybody's on the player side and nobody's on the owner side and all this other stuff. It's just wrong. And it's not the right way to do it. The players aren't right in any of these scenarios, and the owners aren't necessarily right either. And I'm not suggesting that either one is right or wrong. They got to work it out to play. But what I am suggesting is that if you listen to certain people out there, and it can be anybody, especially the ones that are reporting on this, and they put their own spin on different things, it becomes twisted. And then it becomes twisted in your eyes because you weren't presented with the opportunity to make your own decision. And everybody makes decisions differently. So I don't want a reporter making the decision for me. I want him to give me the information so I can make my own decision. And I wish that were to happen, and it doesn't. So it pisses me off.
I was reading a professional sharp player in our lanes, and he talked about what he does here, and I found it quite fascinating. And what you're saying is 100% correct. So what I want everyone to do is to go back to watching a boxing match, watching a UFC fight, and you have money on one of the fighters. Now, I know when I have money on a fighter, I watch that fighter the whole time, and I try to say, okay, why I think my fighter's winning, or is my fighter losing? This sharp guy says, whoever I have money on, I watch the other guy. I watch and focus the whole fight on the other guy to see why this guy would be winning or is winning against my opponent. And I know for a fact, every time I have money on a fight, my eye is focused on my guy. And I said, like, wow, I never thought of that. So next time I have money invested in a boxing match or a UFC fight, I'm going to try that. And it's again, it's the same thing in the negotiations, where again, we are going to paint the picture on the side we hope that we're backing. Dave Sharapian, who comes on here frequently, or whenever he can sneak in for a half hour, 45 minutes. If you listen to Dave, who's got 20 years of experience in the risk room, he will take all the information and process it, meaning this. I'm just going to take Syracuse in North Carolina. Okay. It's 8 points favorite. Okay. He'll give you the side of the North Carolina. Then he'll have a guest on with the side of the Syracuse side, and he'll paint his picture, and he'll let you decide. You see what I'm saying? Not that he's playing both sides of the fence, but in our lane, Scotty, in our platforms, in what we do, we can paint the picture on either side. I can give you reasons to back North Carolina. I can give you reasons to back Syracuse, and then I give you the reason to back who the hell you want to. And that's the beauty of social media today and all the platforms, the StreamYards, the Zooms, I don't even want to give ESPN and Fox those credits because there's a million other places, iHeartRadio, Sirius Radio, and all that. So again, I think it's, what do they say? The eyes of the beholder. I woke up this morning after my cat nap. I fell asleep to MLB Network. I was hoping to wake up for the alarms ringing. I knew there would be nothing this morning, and there'll be nothing around dinner time. And then, it's going to get all hot and heavy at 7 o'clock, and then 9 o'clock, then 10 o'clock. I guess the big question is, will they stay in the rooms till the clock strikes midnight, or will they just get so frustrated at 11 o'clock they said, this ain't going to get done, and then just pack up and leave?
Well, it's going to be a long day, I think. Most of these things have started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's been a ping pong match, right? So theoretically, one group will have made a presentation, and go present it for 15, 25, 30 minutes. The other side hears it, takes it back to their group, and then they go, oh, blah, 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 and they bring another one back. It's just bouncing back and forth and back and forth. And I would expect that's the way it's going to go again. I have no idea. But I do know it's starting at 10 o'clock today, so they've already had an hour of negotiation going on. I think it's interesting. Sometimes you see these different reports that come out. Oh, the such and such just went back to the room again, and such just went to here again. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I just want to know that they're still together and they're still negotiating is all I want to know. Although it yesterday was a full day of back and forth. So that tells me that there were things being changed and offered. I mean, every time they present something, a change is done. So whether it's a good change or a bad change, I don't know. I mean, I spoke the other day, and one of the things that happened is that the players said, we want more money. So the presentations were not even where they were back in October or whatever it was. They wanted more money from back in those days. I think that as this thing progresses and as we move forward, I thought yesterday was, based off of just the bounce around and the back and forth and different things, probably a pretty good day for laying groundwork, where today's probably going to be a day where they got to do a lot of heavy lifting, my guess. But at the same time that there's a lot of heavy lifting to be done, I bet it gets done. And I don't think it'll be one of those, okay, we met today, we got a deal done, it's over. I think it won't happen until like the very end of the night. That they'll gain a little bit of traction, and then all of a sudden something will happen, and before the end of the night they'll have a deal, and they'll announce, okay, well, we got a deal, and spring training games start on such and such a time, which nobody cares about. Just get them in camp and get them ready to go, so that you got a 162 game season. 140 games, is one thing. I think a true baseball season minimally has to be 154. And if you have 154 games, that makes the right amounts of matchups for clarity in terms of the teams playing the right opponents and fairness on a schedule. If you don't play at least that many, then somebody's going to get a break somewhere.
Well, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on our timelines. Obviously, follow who you follow, whether it's Passon or whoever it is. We will keep everyone updated, and hopefully we will have some good news at the end of the day or night tonight. Otherwise, we will see what the next steps are after this. Kind of a short menu all across NBA, college, and NHL. Couple key marquee matchups. Obviously, the headliner in college hoops would be Baylor at Texas, but we'll get into that. Scotty, in the hardwood today, anything jumping off the page?
Just looking at it, and I haven't wagered on anything this morning, and won't be wagering until at least after our afternoon show today. But I am interested to see a couple of things. One, I want to see where that Orlando number goes, because Orlando opened -2, and they're playing Indiana, and I don't really care who Orlando's playing for the most part. It's pretty hard to have that team as a favorite to anybody. So I'm kind of interested to see that game a little bit. I thought the Toronto and Brooklyn game is a big advantage here for Brooklyn, in a sense that Toronto has been playing very, very badly. They're the only team, I think, in the NBA that's not scoring 100% offensive efficiency, meaning that out of 100 opportunities up and down the court, they're at 96.7% offensive efficiency. And that's over the last 14 days, and over the last 5 days, it's only 101. So they have not been playing well. They've not been scoring well, and they've been giving up lots of points. and they are an away favorite against Brooklyn, who after the trade and done some things has been playing a little bit better. And I get it, Kyrie Irving doesn't play home games, but I still think that that's a reasonable look for me right now. Is Toronto or is Brooklyn plus the 4 points? And then I was looking at some of these games that again, looking at them and going, I don't get it. Like Chicago and Miami. Miami's a good team. They're really a good team at home, but Chicago's been playing really, really well. They're getting 4 points. 4 points is a good number for Miami, but I wanted to look a little deeper into that game. So there's some issues here. I kind of like the idea that Memphis hasn't been playing that good. San Antonio's been playing a little better. Why do they care if they win by 8, 10, 20, 30 against a team? Charlotte, Milwaukee was a 240 over under. And my numbers can't get there. My numbers get to 230, 235. They don't get to 240. So I'm kind of looking at some of that stuff. And Sacramento and OKC. Sacramento is one of those teams that I can't bet on, but I kind of like the idea that OKC is a 4.5 point home dog to Sacramento. Got to look into that one too. So I thought there was quite a bit of opportunity. You just got to figure out where you want to go, and it's a little too early for me to pick and choose a side here to actually wager on, but I think I'll have some plays at 4:30.
In the college ranks, again, short board, one thing really does jump out at me. I'll get to it in a second. Again, people's last week of the regular season, you get a lot of senior nights. You get a lot of last home games for these guys. Kind of maneuvering to get into the conversation or to get into the bubble situation, first 4 in, last 4 out, or just to get into an opportunity where you can get a mindset coming into your conference tournaments. What do we need to do? Do we need to win a couple games? Do we need to win the tournament to get in? So there's a lot of different scenarios, a lot of big rivalry games usually come through this week, and it's really tough if your team's playing bad. Sometimes it just takes that one game to get them off the schneid with a big team coming in. Obviously, this week will be Coach K's last home game at Cameron. One of my buddies, sent me. It only cost $6,000 for the cheap seats to get in there to be a part of Coach K's last home game. So a lot of scenarios, just, sharpen your pens, make sure you clean your glasses. If you're hitting at a good level right now, and, it's puppies, cupcakes, and unicorns, God bless you. Because right now, again, I'm seeing the board real well. Just the spaghetti strainer. I don't know. I think there's just a wire that needs a little tightening up here to put the 2, 1 + 1 to equal 2 versus 1 + 1 equal 2.5. So Syracuse and North Carolina, a number in my eyes that opened up too low, a number that's looking to entice the Carolina money, and they're getting it at 7.5 at Circa and Westgate, and is now 8 at South Point. A North Carolina team that just absolutely steamrolled NC State at NC State on Saturday. We were on NC State. First flash was 18-3 North Carolina. Thanks for playing. A Syracuse team that was down by 30 at home to Duke, and they were never in it. So, again, I think that number's low. It's enticing Carolina money. They're getting it, so we'll see where that closes at the closing bell. The next game I want to talk about is just jumping off the charts in my eyes. Rotation number 867, 868, San Diego State at Wyoming. San Diego State opens up 1.5 point favorites, now 2 point favorites, and that's with 82% of the money, 88% of the tickets coming in on Wyoming. Now it's a spot where Wyoming has been fabulous this year. It's a spot where they have covered this spot at home numerous times. They've gotten us. Last time it was against Colorado State, where they were trailing the whole game, tied it at the buzzer, and won it in OT. but this is an eye opener for us. Be running to the window right now. I'd be grabbing San Diego State minus the 122, 123 on the money line, and I won't look back there. The next headliner. Actually, I'll go to K-State and Texas Tech. Texas Tech coming off a loss, opens up 12.5 against K-State, who got embarrassed this weekend. So look for Texas Tech to bounce back, but it could be one of those games where Tech wins by 8, 9, or 10. But the other headliner, Baylor at Texas. Baylor beat them by 18 a couple of weeks ago, and they open up 1-point favorites. It's jumped right to 2. A Texas team that's doing well will be in the dance. A Baylor team that is looking to get back into that stride where they were last year as the defending champs. Again, initially, my eyes would say to back Texas here, home dog, defend home court. We'll see. And the last headliner, UCLA at Washington, they only open up at 8. Actually, they opened as 10.5-point favorites and now 8-point favorites. And that's with 61% of the bets, 69% of the money. And so some reverse line movement coming in on Washington to start the day there. And we'll just tiptoe to some hockey. The one that jumps off the page, Toronto at Washington. Overnight, Washington opens up -10. Toronto now -131. So that was a big overnight movement on the Leafs. And then the Bruins opened up -120, now -118 at the Kings. Scotty, any big money in hockey or on anywhere in pregame right now?
It's way early. I mean, your NBA games, the Timberwolves and Cavaliers have 31,000 in right now. In college basketball, Baylor, Texas has 25,000 in. And for hockey, Toronto, Washington has 17. So nothing crazy right this minute.
They're 3-0 on those big plays. Texas Tech over Baylor with 250 on it. 175 on Nashville on Friday came in. And yesterday, the big money on Carolina, they came in 2-1. So keep an eye. That's a good little source here. They're 3-0 there. But a kind of a short board, but there's some intriguing games as we've talked about it. Any closing thoughts, Mr. Webb?
Well, I think we covered it pretty much at the beginning. I would just say that have faith in what you do. Don't worry one way or the other what happens. The sport is going to survive. There's a lot of communication, a lot of things being said, it's going to die and all this other stuff. It takes a lot to kill off anything. So things will survive. It might not be the best of what we want if things go the direction that they can't make a deal. But at the same time, you got a lot of other things. I mean, there's, I make fun of the KBO all the time, but if that's all you got going, I can get into the KBO. I can get data from the KBO. I can run numbers, and we can have some bets on the KBO and have some fun. And with the fans in the stands, that's a fun league when you see the fans in the stands. So, they're doing all that singing and all that stuff, and it's just great. So it can be a lot of fun to do other things, but we'll see. Hopefully don't have to, and hopefully we're involved with the best of the best in the world doing what they do. So just hang in there, buckle up, and go along for the ride today.
Yeah, and I'll just close with this. If once the clock strikes midnight, there is no deal. Me and Scotty have been adamant. We've said all along we expected a deal today. I have no idea if there'll be a deal or not at this point, but the world's not ending. There will be baseball. I don't think this, is gonna, after 2 years ago with a 60-game season, there's no way that they could just, sit out and then just, play, blind man's bluff or whatever you want to call it against, paper, rock, scissors or whatever it is. But we got some exciting times still here. Obviously, we have the final week of hoops. We have conference championship weeks. We have March Madness. We will have KBO. We will have the Masters. We will have, before you know it, NHL and NBA playoffs. And we made it through a pandemic. If we have to, we'll make it through a baseball stoppage. We don't stop here. So personally want to thank all our loyal followers. Always, without you, we wouldn't be here. Shout out to Jorge on YouTube and our Twitch followers today. Myself and Scott will be back at 4:30 with the closing bell to see where these numbers have moved. And until then, always, always, always remember this. If you are wagering today, always wager responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Because myself and Scotty care. We'd like to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we all wish you guys to have a blessed day, and we'll see you at 4:30.